Recording's on. And this is the recording of the 103rd project call, design-specific project calls. The devs kind of have their own calls and things and stuff. These are the design calls. Harold just joined. Hi there. We just started recording
Hey,
here.
what's up, guys?
And Michael was just about to dive into the send flows. And as usual, I shared the notes document here in the chat. There's a handful of things in there. First is the send flow designs, then the features page stuff that both Harold and I were working on separately, then the proxy screen stuff that Pablo is implementing currently, and then there's a few other smaller conversations that we'll see if we get to them. Anything else to put on the discussion list for today?
I guess I can give dev updates.
Yeah, that'd be great.
We can start with that if you want, or we
Well, how
can start
long
with
do you think that is?
It'd be quick.
Okay, cool. Then let's just let's start with that, if that's cool, Michael.
So you just mentioned on the proxy that code-wise is wrapped up. So yeah, we've been having daily stand-ups, daily dev calls,
Okay.
getting everything accountable and moving. So the proxy's wrapped up, but needs. I think there was one issue on something UI related, but it's a separate concern. But code-wise, that's wrapped up. Johnny is almost wrapped up with the initial wiring for the wallet model. The only thing missing from there is we've decided to introduce it. We want to make it, we want to handle it properly. And so that's asynchronous, just in a background process, load it. So that is promised by Monday
Cool.
for that async handling. Johnny also opened the template for the request page. There's a couple of UI issues there, so I think that one we want some design review on.
Cool.
One thing quickly is Johnny wasn't clear on. Johnny thought that if you go to the design for the request page, the actual text request is left aligned to the fields. He implemented it in the middle because he thought that might have been overlooked by you guys. But that's a design question, right? So it's like design review on that. I've been removing all the JavaScript we have. And today is the next PR in that series. And of course, we got in a whole bunch of refactors, removing a bunch of sins, and then now we have page stacks. G is on a write-up for some UTXO, so we can all get together and plan how we would write that code. Yeah, that's the dev update.
Cool. And so I just dug up it's PR 435, which is the initial template for payment request stuff. So if anyone wants to actually just download that and test that, you can. You just go to actions here in GitHub at the top. Hopefully you can see that. Then you try to find 435, which I hope everyone can see that. It's very the top thing, like initial template for request payment page. You click on that, and then you scroll down, and there are artifacts here. So you can download the automatically built version for your operating system for Android, macOS, and Windows. So download that one, and then you can run it and test that code if you would like. So that looks pretty good. And there's a question here about input fields. Okay, I'll review that one. And if anyone else wants to review it. Awesome, cool to see progress. With the proxy stuff, an extra note to that. So what's left there is the logic around input validation, error message placement, and when to save. So the first iteration had like, as soon as you started typing, it would validate and show you an error message. So even when you typed in one character and it was kind of annoying, it's like, I'm not even done yet. Why are you already criticizing me? And then there was some layout stuff happening so the layout kept changing as you type. So we were talking about there's a follow-up PR, and Michael and I also briefly talked about it. So we'll try to resolve that. So that's basically just ideal. I think it's just UI stuff basically missing there. But they'll be good. And then Michael and I also talked about creating a dedicated page in the design docs for input fields and validation and error messages and all that stuff, because that will just keep coming up.
Yeah, I think the input fields, there's like a generalization aspect behind them. It seems like there's certain themes that would apply to across all of them, but then what can differ is what they accept, as in like what's the validator. And so by validator, I mean like what characters does it specifically accept?
Yep.
Some fields in letter characters, some numbers, some doubles, so it can allow decimal point. But sort of generalizing when we show an error, I think it can be generalized across a lot of them, right?
Yeah. So the logic is a little bit different. Like a lot of times, for example, you want to enter a password you choose a password in some website, and then it basically on every character stroke it tells you like this is allowed, this is not allowed, or you need like another special character or something, right? So, but for a name, you wouldn't do that. So or for a Bitcoin address, maybe you want to format, or for a credit card number, you want to format it slightly based on character stroke. But for other contexts, it might be when you actually remove focus or blur the input field that the validation happens. So it's not perfectly consistent across all types of input. So we need a little bit of flexibility there. But it's the same mechanisms, right? They just get triggered a little differently.
Yeah, if it can't be generalized, that's also fine. I think we don't need to like optimize that already for all these input fields.
Yeah. But I think, like you said, the placement of the error message should pretty much always be the same, or we might have one or two variations, nothing crazy. But yeah, we should not have 100 different implementations of input fields all over the place. That's for sure. Okay, so that's something, a small task to wrap up. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I think I think I'll deliver this to Pablo, but really his main concern, and I think you guys connected on it already, was for the IP. When do we show the error message? Like at the end or after the user has finished editing? Which there is a signal that we get, on editing finished, or if it's as they're actively typing in the IP address.
Yeah, I did post in some issue. Like I posted an example here from iOS that we can borrow from, and then we're discussing some of the logic here. NPR 438. So yeah, working through that. Okay, cool. Then you and I were talking about some animation stuff. Then we have this block clock renaming issue. What should we do there, huh? Should we rename the block clock? What's the verdict?
We can. It seems like people find it reasonable, and yeah, I mean, in this exploration, maybe there's even a better fitting name for that idea there that feels better regardless of any issues. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like not super high priority, but yeah, I mean, yeah, we can find a name and rename it. I can, if we want to do that, then I can take some time to just think of names, and I don't know. It's it's like renaming something is always funny because it's like, have you guys ever brainstormed names for like an idea, and it's so hard to get down a name that everybody likes. So I feel like it'll be painful to rename this.
Yeah, if you have children, then so we did it. I did it 3 times, and it gets harder every time.
And that component was kind of like the first baby of the project, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I would just go for something neutral, practical, block status, keep it simple, not make a big deal out of it. But yeah, I think it's good to avoid any even potential legal issues. But please comment on that one. I'll also try to mock up when I get a chance some version that shows what it would look like, that shows the changes. Then, Harold, you had a question about typography and spacing standardization, which is usually a little bit of a process to work through that. Did you get the answer that you were looking for? Do you have what you need?
So with typography, of course, implementing those like typography components is very straightforward, very easy. But then just going back into the UI and replacing all the different, we've implemented text all over the GUI in so many different ways.
Mm-hmm.
We have this core text, or we just do like text and then fill in the font, or we have this like bloated header component, and so
Mm-hmm.
it's like using all of that to just be typography really simplifies the code. We've talked about this in our dev call.
Yeah.
I was going back into the design file, just mapping, because you have, I think there's certain ones that line up between like the font size and header and the font size and body. But what differs is the line size. So we've never specified line size in how we've implemented text. So I I don't want to mess something up. So because I can look at the font size, right? But it maps to like one header and one body.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking at the design file to see like, okay, this is specified as a body 3 and not like a header 4 or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems for the most part, I haven't found an instance where it wasn't labeled. So that's amazing on the design side. Just I guess the title 2, header 2, and that's how it maps.
Yeah, exactly. And I actually wrote my own. There's a Bitcoin UI kit plugin, Figma plugin that I wrote to find any text field that doesn't have a style applied, in order to ensure that it's all style based. It's not like individual text fields with random font and line height settings. So it should be pretty
Yeah, that's
consistent.
awesome.
Yeah, but within
Yeah,
components, it's a little bit different because, and the big thing is that the line height, right? If you, for body text, you want to have a little bit of a taller line height, so it's a little bit nicer to read, a little bit more spacious, but you do not want that in, let's say, a button label or so, because it kind of throws off a lot of the spacing. That's where you just kind of do not want to have the extended one. That's why in components, like outside of components, like free floating text anywhere on screens, it's good to have the style, general styles. But in components, you want a little bit more control because the just the usage of text is different there.
And inside of buttons, do we specify a line height, or we just specify a font size?
I mean, any text has a line height. I believe for the buttons, the goal was. I have them in my background.
So I guess line height isn't relevant when it comes to being inside of like a button.
No, not really. I would just look at the button height that's in Figma and then
Okay,
try to match the height there.
I see.
It can be relevant when it's uneven. Then the alignment of the label inside the button can feel or seem a bit off.
Yeah.
So that's yeah.
The rendering is also slightly different in Figma versus in different rendering frameworks. So it's kind of hard to just say, because there's inconsistency. It's hard to say, do it this way, do it that way, because yeah.
Okay. Yeah, but the typography system, yeah, really helps. I think one thing is I did mention on spacing and these types of things. Yeah, I mean, I guess for now we don't need to do that. I imagine there is like a future there where, I mean, people have expressed interest, like other devs have expressed interest
Yeah.
in, like core devs, in adding functionality into this new GUI, right?
Mhm.
Later on. So if like they're building it out of, okay, core page, okay, H1, small spacing, it's like if there's like these like simple building blocks, it like really simplifies how people add on into the
Mhm.
GUI. But I mean, right, of course, right now we don't need to optimize that. But like this typography system, like made me think of, oh, there's like these building blocks that would make it easy for somebody to add on new pages or new features.
Yeah, totally. And the Figma is pretty much set up that way with components. And we have a layout page in the design docs, that like the one behind me, where it shows, how most of the spacing is just multiples of 5 or 10. So
Yeah,
I think that's a good starting point, right? Sometimes it doesn't look perfect if you just try to simplify to all of them, but we can always tweak that later once we're in polishing mode and further down the road. But I think just multiples of
of
5 is
course.
just a good starting point.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and within components, like it's a little bit, there may be slightly different rules, but for general layout, multiples of 5 is a good approach.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but so on the typography thing, yeah, I have my question answered there.
Cool. And I'm also pretty comfortable now compiling, downloading code and running it and checking out PRs
Awesome.
locally. So with the previous PR, I also went in and I made some changes or some tweaks to the font weight of the titles and stuff. So it's no
So,
problem.
um, I'll let you know you've gotten used to our Auto Tools build system, and it's gonna completely change when Habaso does the sync because we have CMake, and so now it's gonna be a 100% different set of commands that you'll run to build core.
Yeah, I mean,
There's not
I
a
don't.
single thing that
Yeah.
transfers.
I mean, that's fine. I mean, for me, I don't even memorize them. I just have them written in a notes file and I copy paste them. I don't even know what they do. I just
Okay.
know if I want to build it, I copy paste these commands. So I'm just going to copy paste something else.
Yeah, but yeah, so
Yeah,
the build system's gonna, so all those commands change.
that'll be fun. Um, okay, cool. Mike, should we hop over to the send flow stuff then? Michael?
Yep. Let's do it. Share screen. Okay, let's do two things. First, for anybody not, I hope my screen is visible. For
Yeah.
anybody not up to speed, we did a lot of exploration and work on kind of just the Figma side, going through different and specifying different screens, flows, and states of the send flow, and to make this more kind of more digestible, we decided to stop doing this because we feel kind of confident that the concept is solid, and now it's time to take a step back and document this a bit more. So what we've been doing is, now which one is it? Yeah, this one. We've been updating the, where is my screen? I need to see what you see. Right, we worked on the design docs to refactor the send part. So previously there was just one page like for the receive milestone, but for sending it's going to be much more complicated and much more extensive. So we said, okay, let's have like one page with the basic flow, like the regular thing that most people probably will do, and then break up the special features into different sub pages. And currently, what's currently visible on the Bitcoin Core app is basically just the same page with empty subpages. And today and tomorrow and on Friday, I'm going to be working on extending on this. So the first page, when you click on it, is just going to be an overview page with maybe a flowchart that I need to think about and update, and then you dive into kind of this basic send flow, where you can walk through the different states of the send form. We say how can you fill out this form? You can fill out manually, scan QR codes, whatever. Clipboard detection. So kind of specifying and laying out all the different states, what the additional options are, how clipboard detection works, what the address input should look like, including these error or validation messages that we discussed. And so this is the original content where I just keep fleshing this out, and the idea would be to have a commit of that today at the end of the day, and then take it from there, because we have a lot of everything or most of the stuff here, like import, export, batch transaction, coin selection. We have designs in Figma that's a bit scattered, and it's probably more it might make sense for designers, but not for everybody else. So the goal is by the end of the week to fill out these pages into a form where we think it could make sense, or we say no, it doesn't make sense. Let's merge them together again and do something different, but to kind of spec it out here. And that's about it.
Yeah, and then we'll have, there are some areas where I know we'll have to go in a little and do some minor revisions. Like I mentioned a while back for the coin selection, maybe we can offer you 3 algorithms of how to automatically select coins or something like that.
Yeah.
That's just some more detailed stuff to spec out. Yep. But that'll push us a good step forward.
Yeah, maybe we also need additional pages for fee selection, for instance. That can be could be good to call out, but I think that's the tweaking that we need to do. What is worth its own page and what is not.
Yeah, that's all looking really good. I wanted the fee selection thing. I talked about this with somebody in Argentina, and I feel like when we send, I think a lot of people look at mempool.space because you get an idea of like these blocks. These are the fee rates in there. Okay, like that, like me, if I want to manually set a fee, like this is a good fee to set because I have like this visual distinction of like look at these actual blocks. If I think we've discussed it before, but how we implement how we want to show whatever page it is the user sets a manual fee, we have this information available. We have we're not necessarily going to show all these transactions within the block, but in the top you have like those 3 blocks, let's say, right? And so like if you wanted to, you like we would be able to implement something where we show these types of blocks and the user can set it manually inputting the manual fee or clicking on like a block, like, okay, fine, I want to be within the next one or 2 or 3 or whatever. And we can set the fee like that. So I just wanted to put it out there that we have that type of information available for the next blocks, actually for 101 blocks on a standard mempool. And so we can do something like that very easily.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think our basic idea so far was that we have basic priorities. Is it urgent? Is it not so urgent? Or you just not care at all? And then one might take 10 minutes, the other one might take an hour, the other one might take 6 hours or something. So something priority based where it then tells you intelligently what you'll have to pay, and then with a custom fee option if you really want full control.
And yeah, maybe in this custom fee option, I mean, I like to see like the blocks. I like to visually see, okay, like the block, and okay, these are the fee rates within there, and then I like manually set a fee, like whatever I feel is comfortable enough above whatever the minimum the next block, if I really want to be in the next block.
Okay, so
So like I
mhm.
wonder how people um, do this now and what feels comfortable for them. Like I want to visually see it, because like if you like just tell me in text form, if it's urgent, do this fee rate. I can't like visual. I'm like a visual person. I can't visually see what it means, you know. But like what I like about mempool space is I can visually see and determine from there, okay, like this is good or this is not good.
Your time perception of time is based on blocks. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
What does 10 minutes mean?
I never even saw those SAT numbers in the blocks at the top. But it's interesting here, if you look at low priority, medium priority, all of them say 6 SAT per vbyte and all of them are 97 cents. It's like, okay, what's the point? Are you know, it's clearly all the same. Like, why are you even showing me
Yeah.
this? So maybe we can intelligently, maybe we can revisit this particular, once everything's in the design docs, we can revisit this particular area in like a dedicated further exploration or so. But I would assume that our VIP, no, not VIP, MVP version is pretty straightforward, and then
Yeah,
we'll
for sure.
expand.
Yeah, and that would require design back and forth. Yeah, I mean we can add that on later.
That's
But
what we're here
I do
for.
feel, yeah, I do feel that it would be nice. At least I would use it if I would be the only user.
Yeah, a visual ordering of stuff, yeah, can be tricky on mobile then as well.
Regardless, we also
We'll
want
see.
widgets. Like we want to add on widgets in the future, and this is a type of widget that we can 100% do within the GUI.
Okay, cool. But Michael, did you have anything else on the send stuff?
No, I'm gonna grind through it, add stuff, and do that for the rest of the week.
Awesome. Appreciate it. And then following up, there's the task of moving your designs in the main Figma file and republishing that on the Figma community. And then also updating the web prototype, which I'm way behind on because other stuff keeps coming up, like the request for a features page. So Harold, how about we talk about that one?
Yeah, yeah. So I didn't think that you were also working on it. I was also working on it, but it's great. I mean, actually, I can just import things either into mine or into yours. You did all the settings, and then, but it's so actually what is wanted or what is requested is just a full table of every feature within the Qt widgets GUI, and then on the QML side, kind of mapping that we've like considered these features, or like if there's just so like we don't miss anything, because the QML GUI needs to be one-to-one feature parity with the Qt widgets GUI. So like we actually need to ensure that there's no feature that we miss, or if there's a feature that we intentionally don't put in, like it's mapped as to why, but not that like we just didn't map this out and so we missed it. You know, that's really what this table is for, is to show and ensure that we've mapped out every feature within the Qt widgets GUI, and then it's being considered for the QML GUI. And so in considered it's going to be implemented, or why this isn't a useful feature to include within the GUI. And so that means everything. So it means every single wallet functionality and every single every single little every little difference within, like if you're sending to multiple, like everything within there. And then the signing, you can sign a message. So like there's all of these things. We have different tables, address tables, and there's different functionalities. And so, I mean, it's really a table of everything.
Yeah, which
Which,
is actually super helpful for us as well to ensure that, like for everyone here, like if you want to get a quick idea of everything's in there, just take a look at this list.
yeah, I mean, yeah, it's helpful. Yeah, it's definitely helpful for us to ensure. Okay, well, we now have that mapping of everything, so we can't miss anything because we have this list of everything, and we have to map it to QML. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be a very long list.
Yeah, and so I'll just go over. So yesterday I just started because I had some old specs document where already a bunch of this stuff was gathered. So and this here in my background is just on my local host, but there's also a pull request for it. So I called this a new page called features, and I titled it planned features, and I said this is a work in progress because it will, even if we plan to support everything, right? That's a really long way out. So it's more like planned features in order to keep this page simple and not have like a little status of like, oh, this will be version 3 in third quarter of 2025. Like it's too complicated. So it's just generally what we're planning to support, what we're not planning to support. And I split up in general stuff like Android support, obviously something the new app supports, the old one doesn't. And then just a lot of checkboxes for the parity stuff and split them up into wallet management, sending, receiving, node management. And then for the settings is a little bit trickier because we have individual settings like what do you want to enable pruning or not, or what's your IP proxy, whatever setting. And for that, this table here is more helpful. And Harold, I guess, then we have to figure out once we have this table, that is not general feature support, but it is more individual settings support, if we should also put that on the website. But I don't know.
The entire table on the website, we can.
It sounds kind of obnoxious to put it there, but
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Is it just a tool for us, or is this something people will refer to in the future?
So when we're ready, people want this table to see, okay, so like just like they can just quickly scroll through it and see this was the Qt widget. This is all the Qt widget features, and this is how it maps to QML.
Yeah.
So yeah, people will look at this table. That's why Habasa was requesting.
Yeah. So and I feel like there's so much stuff here that I don't think we can just in our first run we can capture everything here, all the nuance. So Harold, how about we just kind of collaborate over the next few days and try to get a good first version of this live, and then we just iterate as we go.
Yeah, I can import into your file, and it just like I won't mess like with your things. I'll put like a few spaces, but I can import into your file what I have, and in there.
Okay, and then maybe we can push this page live, and maybe in the future this will become kind of our sales page for. It's like, oh, what can this app do?
Yeah, I mean, this is like a quality assurance thing. Like, okay, it's just like ensuring that we put in that time to map every Q2 widget feature, and then so like we don't miss anything. So it's like a quality assurance type of thing.
Yeah. And there's some other stuff too, right? For example, PSBD import and export in the Qt app has a setting in the main application settings, but we're actually moving that into the send screen itself. So there's some stuff that just gets moved around, but people might think it's missing if they look for it in the settings, right?
What I like about what you have there in the background is like it's like a check mark. It's like the feature it's in Qt widgets, and then it's also in the QML GUI. So it's not saying like where it is or where it's been moved. It's just saying like this is in the QC widgets GUI and we have it in the QML GUI.
Yeah.
And then in somewhere else we can talk about what's been moved or where. But the table like that works where it's like the feature. It's in QC widgets GUI and it's in the QML GUI. But like where it is, that's a separate concern.
Yeah, that's where this. I think we need both. We need this Google sheet and we need the general table. And the Google sheet that has more of the mapping, like the map port using UPnP moved from the network settings to the connection settings, that type of stuff. It's very specific. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. We'll figure it out, and it's going to be the best features page anyone has ever seen. Be excited for it.
Yeah, it's a nice comparison table for later as well. Why to use the QML the new app versus the old?
Yeah. We I don't know if we wanted to circle on the IP. I mean, with the IP thing, that's already discussed in the PR. But Pablo's here if there was if we want to circle back on that or not.
I don't know. I'm good. Pablo, how are you? How do you feel about it?
Okay. Yeah, it's fine. We discussed it already on the PRs on the issues as well. There are only like the functionality is working, but there are look and feel issues like when like on the behavior of the things that when the validation of the system is done, we need to add an extra button there, the done, and for the the look and feel the caching between the error message and the input. That because the IPs could be like a long address, then perhaps the error message should be somewhere else, or I don't know, something to think about. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll chat about it and figure it out. Okay, we have about 15 minutes left. What else would you like to talk about while we're here? How's everyone? Does everyone expect there to be much action over the holidays?
Yeah, so I mean, we've been having our daily dev calls. I guess what did we? I think it looks like people are dropping off today for the holidays, and so for today and tomorrow, we're doing text updates. Although I mean, Johnny just delivered the keyword, moving it to a queue thread. So that I think we had said Monday, but that was pushed today. I think we'll have activity, but yeah, reduced activity because Americans have Thanksgiving, and then they have Black Friday, which they go shopping.
Yeah, and then over Christmas, is it? Are people kind of taking months off or any?
I don't know. I don't know. We're not like from Thanksgiving to Christmas. We're not dropping off. No. But those days before Christmas, yeah, people are going to drop off.
Yeah, and have you kept up the Kanban board with the or the project board with the coding tasks?
No, we haven't kept that up. I mean, we've really booted up our daily dev calls, and that takes that takes effort. But Johnny, we can do that. We can do that. I mean, maybe we'll leave it to this weekend because we have programming tasks that we just want to focus on getting done. And Johnny, maybe this weekend, me and you can connect to see how we update that board. But I know people look at that. Like I had somebody message me to implement a feature, and so people want to see a board.
Okay. Yeah, we can. I'll update it for myself. And we'll maintain it during our daily stand-ups.
Awesome. Yeah, that's super helpful. And with MVP expectations, anything, I don't know, do we need to talk about it or?
Like a date for it. I mean, with these daily dev calls, we're like seeing productivity. Like we're like figuring out where can we be in terms of productivity. I think with the daily calls, we've gotten a good amount done and a good amount planned just doing that.
Mhm.
I think we'll have a realistic expectation after this Thanksgiving holiday
Mhm.
of how much we can get done. I mean, my plan though is as soon as possible, right? That's just my
That is not a
thinking.
plan.
what that means, I think. I mean, Johnny
Yeah.
and Pablo. I think on these daily dev calls, we're trying to get this thing really moving, right? Like we're being accountable on each other. Would you guys agree? Yeah.
Yeah, it's helpful.
So, and it's been really helpful. I couldn't imagine without it where we would be. So yeah, I think after the holiday, people are dropping off today. We'll have a better idea.
Yeah, give it a couple weeks and we'll have a better understanding of our velocity.
Mhm. Awesome. Yeah. Then I mean, it seems like maybe we just start the. I mean, it's in a couple of weeks. It's already close to Christmas, and then there'll be New Year's, and people will be on and off. So maybe we just kind of take a fresh look at it in the new year then, and spec things out. Because something that I would, as soon as we're kind of close to it, I would also like to ramp up building a proper landing page for this thing that says, "Hey, here's the MVP. Here's what you can expect. Here's how to migrate," or I don't know, just kind of slowly start building a user-facing front for this thing.
Yeah, I would imagine after the new year, we have something substantial that we can start thinking about these types of things. At
Awesome.
least, yes, hopefully. I mean, these daily dev calls. I mean, I'm optimistic about. We're dropping off today, which kind of bums me out, but I get it. Like people have to travel for Thanksgiving and all that. But on these daily dev calls, I think, yeah. I mean, we'll get a lot of these things moving because it's not like, oh, we'll meet again at the end of the week, and it's, oh, actually, I wasn't really engaged all week. No, it's like on the day to day, we like reassess how engaged everyone is, and so I think that's really helpful on the dev side.
That's excellent. Yeah, it sounds like a ton of stuff is happening and coming together right now. It's great to hear. Yeah, cool. Anything else we should talk about, or should we wrap up the call? What do you feel like? If anyone here has not tested the application yet, go to bitcoincore.app. On the homepage, you will find instructions on how to test the latest code for different pull requests. If you're curious, always great to get some feedback. What do you think? Keep chatting, wrap it up.
Yeah, I don't have any other questions. Does anybody, Johnny, Pablo, Marnix, do you guys have any questions on anything you've seen, or if anything wasn't clear on design? Johnny, you did have a question on request, because you put the text in the middle, and I think you were talking about how it was like an oversight or something.
Yeah, it's a little odd because and maybe it's the location of the confirmation page right now, but the header for that page specifically was left aligned. But then when you go to the confirmation page, it has the sort of back navigation button on the left side. So then the header is aligned in the center in the confirmation page. Yeah, see the payment request.
Oh, okay.
Helps
Yeah.
out. So I just center aligned it because it seemed more to make more sense. But I don't know if there was.
Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about it. I think I may know what's happening.
And there's also this thing that like the payment request display is technically supposed to live in the activity, but we don't have activity yet.
Mhm.
So we kind of just have it as a direct confirmation page right after the request for simplicity right now. So that's
yeah. Well, let's talk about it because I think we actually made, there were some design changes to this whole flow, if I remember correctly. So let me take a look at what you have, and then let's catch up on.
Yeah, I'll also look at it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you are looking at it for context, it's like what I put as the initial start isn't what it will be. I didn't add the extra data fields, and I kept label as the name for now, just to keep parity with Qt. And once that's working end to end, I will add the patches on top for clarity for sort of that additional field and the name of those fields. But I didn't want to add too much at once because I want to make sure this gets reviewed and is okay.
Yeah.
And
Trying to
so
get it in and then polish.
end-to-end,
Yeah.
Johnny, means wallet model wiring in the backend with the front end.
Yeah.
And then we'll like add on.
Of course,
these
that's not
attributes.
what the current PR is. The current PR is just the form right now, but those will come immediately after.
Okay, let me take a note on that real quick. Okay, I left a note for it in our call notes around this.
Cool. Pablo and Marnix, was there anything you guys wanted to ask about?
No, not from me. Thanks.
Yeah, so it's good for us to know too that you're working on this every day right now, because that also means that that it's very important to answer questions quickly because it will block you from continuing your work.
The approach we've taken is like, if anything blocks, but it's like, okay, for example, let's say you guys wouldn't have been able to look at that issue. We on the dev side, we would have moved it in and then, but documented, this is something we need to go back in. So like whenever there's a blocker, at least I'm trying to like find any way, okay, well, like this works, so we'll get it in and we have an issue and then we'll go back on that. So we don't have like days where something that's working sits for like XYZ small issue, and then people lose motivation after some days, so
Yeah.
blockers, we're trying to be good about them, and if something works, then it can get in, and then we'll follow up on whatever the issue is. And yes, we are working every day, except people are dropping off today, tomorrow, and some on Friday. But for sure, everybody's back on Monday.
Sure. Awesome. Yeah, and I'm doing stuff like writing a newsletter today. At the same time, we're also kicking off a design fellowship with the Bitshala team. So I was just talking to all the mentors and the fellows, trying to kick them off next week. So there's all kinds of other stuff happening at the same time. So if there's something urgently you need, just tell me. Like, get your shit together. I need an answer here.
Yeah, or post it in the team channel.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, well, I don't have any other questions. If we want, we can wrap it up.
Any other of the quiet crew here? Anything you'd like to ask about the project while we're here? This is a good opportunity. All right, so let's wrap it up.
Happy holidays.
Happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy your turkey or vegan alternative if you prefer that.
No vegan alternative. Gotta be turkey.
That's your preference. All right, cool. Thanks, everyone.
All
I'm
right.
going to stop
See
the
you guys.
recording now.
Bye.
Bye. Ciao.